Well, there's a portion of the rags used to clean the rust out. Got in there everywhere I could with a toothbrush and wiped and scrubbed, and didn't get it all, but I got most of it, I guess. So it's now time to start putting it together. Starting engine assembly, so I have all the parts laid out here, and some there, and some back there, and a few more over there. So first step was I put in this plug, and those come as a stick of aluminum threaded deals, but the plug they give you is too long and it sticks out. I even have a tap that I bought. I used it on my last one and really disappointed in the quality. The tap is bad. Even after just one use, it was bad. Anyway, I cleaned out the threads and threaded a little deeper, and then I had to file this down. So it's unfortunate they make them too long to work right, but I checked with a straight edge, and that is flush now because I don't want it to hold the front plate out at all. And I sealed it. Same thing on the back side here. Had to take it off the engine stand, but I got this guy in and sealed. I'm afraid that one was leaking on my TR3, so I left the nub on the stick of plugs and turned it in real tight and then cut it off, as much as I didn't want to get, aluminum dust into my nice clean engine. And so now I'm just starting to put the bearings in after I clean this real well. This is all the junk that came out of my crankshaft after I sprayed brake cleaner through the passageways and then blew it out with compressed air. It's remarkable, all the crap that came out of there. I'm really glad I cleaned it. So just have it sitting in there now, and I'm going to measure the gap here to make sure that everything's right. It should be all standard, but I'm going to check one here. And unfortunately, one of my main bearing cap bolts, probably can't see on the camera, but the threads are a little rounded here. So I don't know, I don't really like that. It's hard to find these. Moss doesn't have them in stock. ARP doesn't make them. So I'm not sure I'm going to do yet. I might try running the die across it, but if it cuts a lot of metal, that's not a good solution. So we'll see. Okay, there's my plastic gauge mark. It comes out to be 1 mil, so that looks like that's good. I'm gonna, just for curiosity, I'm gonna add some oil in there and measure again and see if it changes anything. Okay, so it's just a hair wider when I put oil on the bottom bearing half shell. So I guess I can see the thickness of the oil in there. I bought this fancy magnetic holder, and of course it doesn't hold my dial indicator. My dial indicator won't fit through the hole they have here. But anyway, I was able to clamp it on the side, and then because of that it's an awkward positioning, but with the bolt in I have it pretty straight there. And it looks like with standard bearings in, I get about 5 or 6 mils. So I'll have to adjust that. And I just have the lower half in, which probably will get me close enough. I'll have to check though, of course. Okay, so my carefully measured end play is 6 mils, which is at the upper, maybe even 6.25 mils, which is at the upper end of the spec, which is 4 to 6. But you can only adjust it in 5 mil steps. So I'd have to go down to 1 mil if I was to make any adjustment. So I think I'm stuck here. Now I don't have the main bearing cap, or the center main cap on, or even the end one, or even this one torqued. So I'm going to torque it all up and see if it changes at all. And then I went and double checked that I have those thrust bearings in the right way with the copper towards the part that turns. Okay, all torqued up. Now I get 4 mils of end play instead of 6, or maybe just a hair more. I'm guessing it's because I put the assembly lube on the faces of the thrust bearings. but I think I'm gonna be happy with it. I measured the gaps on both sides, and it's not so good. It's only 1.5 mils here, and it's got to be at least 3, they say, and it's more like 3 or 4 here, I forget. But I don't know, maybe holding it down with these is not the right way to do it, so I'm gonna take it off and measure with no gasket in there and see if I still have the tilt. Okay, I removed the gaskets from all of these, and I took a bunch of measurements with a precision straight edge across. And so number 4, there's 12 mil recess from the top of the head to the top of the jug with no gasket. 13 on the other side. It's always about 12 across the middle. There might be a little variance here. It might be just a hair different between these two, but really close to 12. This guy's 12 all the way around. This guy's 11 on this side, 12 on that side. This one's pretty much 12 all the way around. I tried rotating one of the jugs 180 and I got the same measurements. So I'm hoping that the jugs are nice and true. And so I measured the gasket, and he's about, well, I can measure all kinds of different thicknesses on it. It'll range from as little as 14 to as much as 17, but these are stamped and you can feel an edge here, and so it's hard to get a true measurement. And these were in when I tried to do the previous measurements, so maybe that explains it. But I'm going to go look and see. I know you can get 2 different thicknesses of these guys. There's copper and then there's a steel stamped version. So I'm going to go look at that and see if maybe this all makes sense and I am okay after all. Cleaned out all the head stud holes. I had retapped all but 4 that need a long tap to get at. So I used brake cleaner and a bolt and ran in and out of there a few times. Got a lot of crud out. Managed to kind of mess up my paint job a little bit there. But so now I'm working on putting the front plate on, and I have to put this guy on first. And he's got these cork seals that I had to trim a bit to get in there. And I remember from my TR3, these are not easy to get in. They're quite a bit wider. So that's the next step. I put this block in with the cork T seals, and those are not fun to get in there. I did have to trim them down a bit, and it did mush a little bit as it went in, but hopefully it's going to seal. I'm going to pay a lot of attention to this edge here, because if I can seal this edge, then leaks here and in there don't matter, but we'll see.